Most relationship advice sounds like it was written by people who accidentally stayed together. Communicate more. Never stop dating. Choose each other every day. Nice quotes. Beautiful mugs. Terrible explanation. Because the thing that actually keeps relationships alive is so ordinary that people overlook it completely. Instead, they want chemistry. Spark. Butterflies. The problem is butterflies have an expiration date. Kindness doesn't. And people usually realize its value after they lose it. And some of you learned that lesson the expensive way. You met someone exciting. Every conversation felt electric. You thought, this is it. Then 6 months later, you realized they could remember your coffee order but somehow couldn't remember your feelings. That's when the real education started. Because excitement and compatibility are not the same thing. Because relationships rarely end from one giant explosion. They die from thousands of tiny paper cuts. The forgotten promises. The dismissive comments. The eye rolls. The moments where one person quietly realizes, my experience doesn't seem to matter here. That realization changes people quietly. Marriage researcher Dr. Gottman spent decades observing couples behind one-way mirrors, tracking what separated thriving relationships from failing ones. What shocked him wasn't conflict. The difference was what happened underneath the argument. The successful couples protected dignity. The struggling couples slowly replaced respect with contempt. Contempt sounds dramatic. Usually it isn't. It's sarcasm disguised as humor. It's treating their emotions like an inconvenience. It's the subtle message. Your pain annoys me. And once that message becomes normal, the relationship starts bleeding from the inside. And most couples don't notice it until much later. Now let's talk about consideration. The most underrated relationship skill on earth. Consideration is what happens in the 3 seconds before you act. 3 seconds. 3 seconds can change years of trust. That's it. Before the lie. Before the angry response. You briefly stop and ask, how will this affect the person I claim to love? Most people don't fail relationships because they stopped loving someone. They fail because they stopped considering them. There is a difference. Love is a feeling. Consideration is behavior. One creates emotions. The other creates trust. And trust isn't destroyed by major betrayals first. It's usually weakened by tiny repeated moments. Moments where somebody consistently chooses convenience over care. Eventually something sad happens. Your partner stops complaining. Most people think that's improvement. It isn't. It's surrender. They stop explaining because they don't feel heard. Stop asking because they expect disappointment. Stop sharing because experience taught them it doesn't change anything. The relationship looks calm, but emotionally, one person has already started packing their bags. That departure usually begins long before the breakup. Relationships are not destroyed by a lack of love. They're destroyed when kindness becomes optional, when consideration becomes occasional, when being understood matters more than understanding. Here's another truth nobody likes hearing. At some point, you will be tempted. Maybe not physically. Emotionally. Someone new will understand you. That doesn't make you bad. It makes you human. What matters is what happens next. Kind people notice temptation. Considerate people remember consequences. They think beyond the feeling, beyond the excitement, beyond themselves. Because every decision eventually lands in somebody else's nervous system. That's the realization. So before you audit your partner, audit yourself. Not once. Daily. Are you making their life lighter or heavier? Because attraction gets relationships started. But kindness and consideration decide whether they survive real life. And real life always shows up. Subscribe to LoveLens.